All right. So, how's everyone doing today? Are you having a good day too so far? Did you see the keynote this morning with Esther? Did you see that? It was pretty good, hey? A lot of reflection moments, so that's really great. All right. So first, I want to welcome Justy. I'm super excited for you to be here with all of us today. Why don't you just give an introduction about yourself?
Sure. So I am a practicing attorney. I do mostly criminal defense, but my passion is running the firm. And I've got a small team. I've had as many as 15 employees. I'm down to 6, which is kind of nice right now because I get to manage each one of my teammates and help with their time management, among other skills. I work in Colorado. I am regularly doing calls from horseback, which is why I'm gimpy today.
Oh no.
But she didn't even step on that foot. She stepped on that foot. Anyway. I have been a longtime Clio customer and currently use Manage and Draft and enjoy any opportunity to come to ClioCon, especially in Boston.
Awesome. How long have you been a Clio customer?
I have lost track.
Yes. Well, that's a good answer.
At least 8, maybe 10 years. I don't know. Pretty close. But tell me what you do at Clio, or tell the audience at least.
Yes. So I'm the VP of Business Operations and Strategy at Clio. So it's really exciting for me to be here because I'm not a customer facing leader or our team. And so just seeing all of you here, hearing about your needs, what's important to you, it's just really like so energizing for me. And a lot of my teammates who are here. Also, we do one of the things that you may know, the Legal Trends Report. I have a team of data scientists and researchers. So all that you see there that Joshua walked you through, that was the team, one of the aspects that the team does. So super excited, to be here. I've actually been at Clio for 6 years now. So this is my 5th ClioCon.
Cool.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to talk about time management. And I think all of you folks should have a handout on there. And so Justy, do you want to maybe talk about that handout that you have?
Sure. So the handout is just something that you can take back with you. It's merely suggestions. I've tried and discarded probably more apps and technology than most attorneys. I'm like, oh, shiny. But it's super nice to know, like, hey, this is something that really did benefit me and how I can build more time into my day. So these are just suggestions and tips and tricks, but it's something for a take home, since a lot of times when we're doing like chats like this, it's really difficult to write notes. Feel free to scribble all over that. But yeah, it's just a little bit of value for you guys.
Awesome. Well, really appreciate it. So you can take a look there. All right. So now we're going to go into some, we'll go into some Q&A here with each other. And then we'll leave a little bit of time at the end for if there's folks here in the room who have some questions for us. All right. So, Justy, you're known for running a successful law practice while also managing so many other commitments. I know there's a ton horses now, so much in your life. Can you start with sharing your personal philosophy on time management?
I think if I had to sum it up, it would be that you cannot actually fit 48 hours into a 24-hour period, and trying to do everything for everyone all at once is not only impossible, but also unhealthy. And finding ways to be productive with less effort is kind of my motto.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I can very relate to that, especially right now where we're at Clio. Many lawyers, I know this is a huge thing. We see it in our research as well when we interview them, that time is constantly slipping away from them. Was there a moment in your career, kind of looking back where you are right now, where you needed to really rethink kind of how you're doing time management?
I think probably, and this may be unique to many of the parents in the room, but you have a kid. As a solo attorney, I couldn't do it. I could not practice law, run my solo practice. I had to take a step back. Mm-hmm. And then after I had my son, I had a number of autoimmune diseases kind of pop up from pregnancy-related stuff. And so I have learned the value of rest. And it's not necessarily a stage in your career. You kind of have these plateaus and different aspects of your life, whether it's, first coming out of law school, gung ho, you hit like 5 years. If in my case, I was a prosecutor for almost 4 years, and I said, nope, I'm done working for the man. There's natural progressions, and then you're like 8 years in. A lot of times people get that 8 to 10 year itch, like I could do this better if I did it for myself. And so you find those natural progressions in your career. And honestly, mine was personal life driven. It was maternity. It was my physical health. I had to take a step back. And so it's been really nice in recent years realizing my limits. And maybe that's just, I'm a 40-year-old woman. But I don't care anymore.
I know. I remember I used to. So Clio is such a fast-paced technology company. A lot of times earlier on in my career, I would be a night owl. I would, and actually even when I had so I have 3 kids, and when my kids were younger, they would go to bed, and then I would do my next shift of work. That's when I get online, and then I would work till about 1 a.m. or whatever, and to do that. And then it was actually a few years ago, my husband said, he gave me a challenge. He says, you think, you're working so hard and you're being efficient and you're working on a task. You're so tired. It's probably taking you 45 minutes to do that task. You think you're, and he's like, I'm going to challenge you to not do anything at night after the kids are in bed. Wake up in the morning early, just to see. I'm a morning person a little bit, and try to do that task, or compare.
Yeah.
That I was doing like an email, out, or like a presentation I'm working on. And he was right. Yeah. I was sometimes, you're staring at that screen late at night and you're thinking, no, I got to put this in. But you're actually like, I was physically
more time.
Yeah, it takes way more time. Yeah. And then also my health is being impacted. I'm waking up not feeling great. I'm kind of grouchy to my husband and my kids, not the best person to my team. And so that was something I really changed as well, is like I really stopped that late night.
Yeah.
And trusted that I was actually, getting the rest was helping me be more efficient the next day.
Well, and it's crazy too. We all have smartwatches, and I've got the wearables now. I have a wearable for a horse, which is awesome. See me after. But I have like the Aura ring, and the best thing for me was this is telling me, hey, you overdid it. What are you doing to take care of yourself? And it's just like a constant reminder of like, oh, today you're firing on all cylinders, go nuts. And then usually it's the next day I'm like, or I had a couple margaritas last night. My heart rate was high all night.
Yes.
And it woke me up this morning, and I look at it and it's like, oh, your readiness is not ideal. And I'm like, well, that could be because of this too. It doesn't have to be the margaritas. But it turns out, technology is kind of good for telling you to slow down. And it told me I was a morning person. I was like you. I was like, no way.
Exactly.
Work at night.
Yeah.
And lies. I am a morning person.
You're a morning person.
Data proved it.
Do you do some work early in the morning as well, or how do you?
I usually do a little bit of work before my son gets up, but I do my morning meditation and a little bit of just personal stuff before I start my day. My son has to be on the bus at 7 a.m. So I start work at 7. Yeah. He goes to school, and then I'm done by 3.
Yeah.
Which is also kind of nice.
Which is great, having that flexibility. That's great. Yeah. I heard when you said about doing things for yourself in the morning, I do the same thing. I do, I'm a big meditator as well. I do, kind of a rest and recharge. And one of the things that I'm doing now that's really helped is leaving the phone outside the bedroom. If any of you folks have done that, I don't know, I used to be I would wake up and turn over to my phone, and then I would start scrolling on Slack.
Yeah.
And then before I'm even out of bed, I'm start getting anxious, or oh, that Slack message I need to send out, or that presentation's that due, or, oh, my boss said something. Is he mad at me?
Right.
Having those moments. And I heard from someone that said something well, is that when you're in bed and you're reaching for that phone, you're inviting the whole world into your, that's how you start your day, or the news, or what's happening in the world. And really, putting it outside the bedroom and really taking the time to really start your day off, I found has really helped me.
I made a rule that I couldn't check Slack, and I don't read the news anymore on purpose. but I don't check Slack or don't check email until after I've had my first cup of coffee. And so then while the coffee's brewing, I have to do like weights or something else.
Yeah.
Meditation.
Yeah.
Some sort of something.
There's a gate.
Yeah.
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 Learning to gate it.
Yep.
I know for a lawyer too, there's so much context switching that you're constantly doing, especially as a not only lawyer, but you're a business owner as well. Between clients and court, your son, the horse, like everything, administration work, running your own business. How do you main focus with all the context switching that you do?
Probably one of the best things I ever did was turn off all my notifications. I deleted social media off my phone to the extent that I can have someone else do the social media and do the contact forms. It's better to have that outsourced. But really protect the hobbies and the personal time that you have. That's step number one. And then if you can time block, great. I cannot time block worth a damn. Like, it does not happen. With one exception, I time block barn time. Because if I'm not outside, my therapist told me I had to get outside.
Yeah.
But also B, I do my best thinking on horseback in nature, right? And it ends up being, I come back so recharged.
Yeah.
And I'll have 7 ideas while I'm on the horse, right? And I'll take my phone on the horse, but I will not allow the notifications to come in, simply because I will do like voice notes when I'm like, oh, brilliant idea, right? And then you put it away. But time blocking, if you can do deep work and then save time for those interruptions, great. We operate a remote firm, so it is really difficult between 8 and 5 to not have constant pinging. I don't leave my email open during the day. I close it down. I check it once in the morning, maybe once at lunch, maybe once at the end of the day. But that reactive emailing never ends.
Yes.
Same with Slack. I do not have Slack notifications on. I use the Slack AI tools where it gives me the recap. If I missed something or if I was in court, I can get caught up pretty quickly. So I really tone down notifications and the overwhelm that comes through all the devices.
That's really good advice. I know for me, a lot, it really feels the same thing with me, like the Slack, I'm getting the Slack messages or, at 3:00, the kids are coming home from school and like asking me for whatever, trying to take advantage. I'm on a call and ask for the iPad password. So I'm like constantly going. And I used to be so hard on myself for the deep work. Like, when am I going to fit it in? I couldn't time block as well.
Yeah.
And so what I do is just a time in the week, or even sometimes on a Saturday early if the week got so busy. But I heard this also from a couple of leaders out there that do this, corporate leaders. The gentleman of the CEO of Bob Iger of Disney, and as well as I forget the last name of it, Toto, the guy from the F1. He's probably, if you guys are if there's folks here who are F1 folks, he's like the maybe not the BMW, but he's quite a big guy in the F1. But says you need time to think. You don't need even time to do the deep work because life is coming at you so much. And so what I've incorporated, what I do is I either on a Friday afternoon or even like early on a Saturday, I have a notebook and I'm in my office or I'm, on the couch, the kids aren't around, and I'm just kind of thinking, I'm reflecting on, I'm not journaling, I don't have time for that or whatever, but I'm just kind of thinking of the day or the week. I'm like, oh, I forgot to follow up with the SVP of sales. Oh, there's an issue here on my team that I didn't think about. And I'm just reflecting about it. And then it starts to prepare me for the next week, because there's a lot. And this is actually, we've seen this if you look at any, research out there and kind of what's happening. And we talked about in the LTR about the cognitive overload. We just do not have time to think, which you kind of sometimes, or but maybe it's you out in nature, you're getting that time. I know Jack Newton, if you talk to him, he runs every day. A lot of times I'm like, hey, Jack, or you should listen to this song, or what about this podcast? He said, Maggie, I don't listen to anything. I just go and run and I'm just silent because I have to process. of what's kind of going on and what I need to do. And so I encourage all of you to, whatever that means, that's quiet space, and to fit that in, schedule that in.
Yeah.
Really helps you. And so, because I mean, sometimes my assistant will schedule 30 minutes before 2 meetings and say, there you go. Now you have 30 minutes between these 2 meetings. I'm like, I'm just getting up to eat. Because of this slur message. Think.
Yeah.
And so you kind of have to in this day fit that blocks just to think.
Yeah.
And trust it, trust the process, and seeing how you feel the next week has helped me.
I agree with you. Like Friday afternoons, courts are closing down and judges don't want to do much. They're not doing a lot of docketing for us. That's a great opportunity to really set yourself up for success for the upcoming week. And I pick one thing that I want to focus on for the next week. And I just, okay, how am I going to break that down into the smallest imaginable steps? But I don't start the work until Monday morning. And it's super nice because a lot of us have like Sunday evening dread.
Yes.
Which,
scaries.
yes, the Sunday scaries, which is like, oh God, Monday is coming around the corner. That's actually your dopamine system just completely flatlining. And so Sundays are really difficult for a lot of attorneys as well. And getting up and going in on Monday morning can be really difficult. So if you have one thing in the back of your mind from Friday afternoon that you're like, I'm just focusing on that. That's the most important thing for this week. That is the best planning time on Friday afternoons that I've found.
And I'm fine. I'm just Friday afternoon, like I'm tired.
Yeah.
Oh, like I can't handle another
Screen fatigue.
screen fatigue.
Yes.
Exactly. It's really, really difficult.
Yep.
Are there any tools or systems that have been game changers for you that's really helped with time management or delegation or anything like that?
So we obviously use Clio and Clio Draft. I'm excited to try the Clio Manage AI. So we'll be using that. We've used Clio Grow previously. We use Lawmatics now, and I love the automations that you can build in both those platforms. We use a lot of automations, both internal for like the systems that are out there, but I also build a lot of zaps. It got bad enough that somebody was like, Justy, don't build zaps yourself anymore. Just outsource that. And I was like, but I kind of like building zaps. I don't like maintaining them when they break. So I outsourced my zaps. I have a gal that literally will take, I want to connect this to this, and I don't want to have to manually enter anything. And she's like, done. I'll have that to you next week.
So Zaps, that's
Zapier.
Okay.
Zapier makes you happier.
Yeah.
And it's the only reason I can remember how to say it. And then we also do text expander. So standardizing like text snippets. You can use text expander on Mac, on mobile, on PC, and it can be shared through the whole team.
Oh, wow.
So we have like all of our declination letters. We can't help you with PI, right? We may be a criminal defense firm, but we're not going to take your traffic case. We have like our referrals built in. So with 3 buttons, I can send a declination letter, but so can my entire team. And it's standardized. It's using the language that we need to use. If we have any disclaimers, like I have an advertising disclaimer for the Bar Association, instead of somebody having to go and paste it, they can literally type the like 3 acronym keyword type thing, and it'll populate the whole disclaimer.
Oh, wow.
And so if you type it more than once, you should build a text expander.
Mm-hmm. Is that kind of like your rule of thumb?
That's the rule of thumb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very good. So how can you decide what technology is truly helping us and what's also noise or adding friction to your workflow?
I've gone down the shiny new technology rabbit hole more than once. It's a lot of trial and error now that it's not just me and I have a team. It's team input. Before I change systems or before I change platforms, my team has to weigh in. So they kind of check and balance me, and they're like, wait, are you just doing this because you want to play with new technology? Maybe. But will I actually use it? Will they actually use it? And then we do a lot of iterating from there. Everything is changing so fast. I mean, even the vendors that I've met out in the hallway years past, I'll stop in at their booth now and I'm like, show me what's new. And it's massive. It's in a year, things are just developing so fast. Mm-hmm. So we always look at efficiency though. We always do annual tech audit where we list every platform that we're using. Is it still serving our purposes? Can we consolidate? Is there a better price point? Is there a different competitor that's offering something that's more appropriate? And then, of course, there's always like a joy metric, right? Do I like it? And if it doesn't spark joy, Marie Kondo, throw it away, right? So same for tech. That's my rule of thumb.
That's a really good rule. If someone in the audience wanted to make sure there's one simple but impactful change tomorrow that to reclaim their time, what would you recommend?
Reducing interruptions. Turn off, find that silence, right? Turn off your notifications. Consider deleting your email app from your phone. Even the little red badge drives me crazy because I'm like an inbox zero kind of person. One of the big things that I did first, and that made a huge difference when I was solo, was I stopped answering my own phone. The phone rings, and it's something like you finish the conversation, it takes you 20 minutes to get back into whatever workflow you were doing. I can't remember the study that they did, but it's science, it's fact. So there's like a 20-minute switching cost anytime the phone rings. Okay, eliminate the phone ringing. There's not a million, but there's several vendors outside that do remote receptionist service. They're affordable, they're cheap.
Do you do that?
I use Smith AI, long time customer, Smith.
Okay.
And they are lifesavers.
Yeah.
When it comes to preserving my sanity.
Yeah. They take all the calls and yeah.
Yep. And we've got it built now too, where I have a staff member who answers the calls, but if she's not available, it's overflow and it goes to them. But I'll be sitting in court and I'll get, if I'm waiting for my case to be called, I'll get a text message saying a new call came in. It's a new lead or whatever. And I'm sitting next to my criminal defense colleagues and they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm responding to a new lead on text. He's like, I am playing Angry Birds. And I'm like, is that a good use of your time? We're sitting here for 2 hours waiting for a case to be called. And you're just billing the client for that entire time that you're there. Meanwhile, I'm not billing my client that I'm sitting with. I'm actually doing business production. And so I use a lot of mobile apps and stuff like that to stay in touch, but Smith is great for that.
Any other apps that would help or technology to reduce those interruptions or
I do use focus time, like Slack, right? We manage a remote team. So I'll put focus time on Slack and I'll put focus time on my Mac. And those just kind of mute the noise a little bit, which is kind of nice. The problem is when you don't remember to take it off. So I do recommend
all the time. I put it do not disturb on my phone. My husband's always like, I've been trying to call you for 3. You know,
I like the do not disturb for an hour or until the end of the event or until I leave. I just putting do not disturb on my phone will stay on do not disturb for like 2 days and people will be like, what?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, if you can remember to turn it off,
yeah,
that's fine. Otherwise, use those timers.
How is it as a lawyer where, you're servicing these clients and maybe the answer is just what you said, Smith AI, but you want to, you're there to service the client. You want to please the client, like getting back to them, or when they email you with a question, and there's so many things on your plate. How do you balance that like great client experience and also preserving your sanity? Like, how do you know to, I don't know, decide, like, what's your decision making, like how long you can wait to get back to a client, or like just curious how you look at that.
So we have a rule that within 24 business hours, you will hear back if you have left a message.
Okay.
Most of the time, they don't leave messages. They're able to get through to a team member during business hours. But Smith handles our phone calls 24 hours a day, right? And I like to tell clients early on, I'm not going to answer the phone call at 2 a.m. when you get arrested. Don't call me. I can't do anything until the court's open the next morning. Call your bondsman. Do you have their number? Great. That's the one you should call. So setting expectations early. And then when we move into like an open client matter in Clio, we use the Clio portal. And so my entire team joins the Clio portal, and we have a communications channel where if the team cannot answer the question, they don't know the answer. Some of it's like, when's my next court date? And I'm like, did you get the 7 text reminders? No. Okay, well, My team can answer that in the portal without even bothering me.
Yeah.
But if there's something that needs a lawyer response or there's a more substantive question, the team will escalate it to one of the attorneys. And we just use a communications channel in Slack. And either we respond in the portal directly and say, we got it, or we give the feedback to the team member who can then go in. So we've got a lot of staff still that does a lot of the client handholding. We haven't yet automated that portion.
And you're also kind of, what I'm hearing from you is leverage technology.
Leveraging technology,
It's not-
filter it to escalate it.
That's always coming at you with,
Right.
with these questions.
If I answer a question about when your next court date is, we have done something wrong.
Yeah.
It shouldn't get to my desk.
Interesting. That's great. And you're really able to preserve that client-centered
Yeah.
experience.
And they just want touch points.
Yeah.
Like a lot of my clients, especially on the criminal side, have a 7th grade reading level. And so sometimes it's easier to pick up the phone and call them. But we give them our calendaring links and they can schedule a call anytime they want. It feels empowering. Do you know how many clients actually schedule calls with me? None. Maybe one in the last month, right? But they have the link. They know they can, and they know they can get to the attorney when they need them. And I'm like, the best part about this is you guys know I'm at my desk. You know I have your file ready. You're not picking up the phone out of the blue, and I'm not reacting. I know what's on my calendar for existing and prospective client calls every day, and I can plan accordingly. So the client has a little bit of like, oh, if I have a quick question, I put it in the portal. I get an answer. Great. If I need to talk to my attorney, it's about strategy. It's about big picture stuff. They'll either reach out to me or I'll book a call. It's not done off the fly.
That's really, it's so we have very different professions. But it's interesting, the similarities, because when I'm working with a leader or someone at Clio in the business, if we're working on really big, complex strategic topics or whatever, a project, I'm proactively scheduling time with that stakeholder, and also helping with the relationship. But I'm not going to wait till the Slack messages go. You need to have a lot of clarity going. At Clio, we call it being in a BUCA environment, which it sounds like, even your practice BUCA. If you look it up, it's actually a military a term. It's I forget the whole acronym, but it's like BUCA is volatile, uncertain, and it kind of lists all these things in the military. And we're kind of trained in Clio to be BUCA prime, that during that times of ambiguity or stress, to provide clarity, to provide structure, etc. And so as soon as I find myself in that situation with like a peer or on a project, I kind of start to create this clarity around me and proactively, so I don't get these Slack messages or be more efficient,
Right.
that way. Yeah, but it my time.
You have to be a little intentional with your calendar too.
Yeah.
Like one of the things that we found really valuable as a team is we did like a core values exercise. I think it's from the One Thing, Keller Williams book. But it's finding the keywords that really motivate you. Mine are freedom, wonder, and bravery. None of that is like family, lawyer, responsiveness. No. But how do I build freedom in? How do I protect that space and that time on my calendar? And it is really being intentional. If there's not something that, like, say you came to me and I think I pitched you to speak here, but you came to me and you pitched, hey, Jesse, we want you to speak. Is it in line with my values? If it's not in line with my values, if it doesn't add anything to me, my answer's got to be no. And so using those as like a screening tool and then looking at my calendar, literally have them on the side and then look at my calendar and go, oh yeah, this doesn't match, right? And then I take a red pen to my calendar and like cancel stuff at least a couple times a year.
Oh, that's a great idea.
And so I end up on boards, I end up on things that I'm like, when I signed up for this, I thought it was something different, first of all. But like, okay, maybe I've outgrown this organization and I've given all that I can and it's time for somebody else to, because it's no longer serving me the way that either I thought it would or it did originally. And so it was time to like, I resigned from a couple of boards. I contributed while I could. And then, you know, it's like, okay, time to move on. It's not a match anymore for.
How do you learn to say, I am always struggling with this too, how to say no?
No.
Always, sure, it's 2 months, and then, my calendar, or, at Clio too, a lot of times it'll be, even some more junior folks like, hey, can I have 30 minutes of your time, Maggie? Like, I'm like, yeah, sure, book it in, and I want to help. And I have trouble sometimes struggling to say no. Do you have any advice on that?
No is a complete sentence. That I have an 8-year-old. Can I play iPad? No. Can you come to the bar association and talk to us about, death penalty, criminal litigation? No. It's too triggering. Like I don't need to do that. Thank you. I value my stand.
I always have to qualify. Like, no, it's because of like it's like I'm trying to explain this big massive thing. I get, but you're saying, yeah, that's great. That's good.
If you can just say no.
No, thank.
Just say no, thank you.
Yeah.
It's not a fit right now. I don't have time. I'm sorry.
Do you find when you kind of come and you're like that again, back to the time management, that does free up, like, having that kind of intention and being able to do that frees up time?
I think it frees up cognitive load, right? When we were talking about the Clio Trends report and how much we all have coming at us at all times, and how, like, my team especially is, I think I have 5 women and 1 dude. God bless him. He is very brave. But we are all givers. And I think there is a lot of give of yourself, of your time, of your knowledge. And you want to mentor the younger generation of attorneys, especially like female attorneys. I want to make their lives better. I don't want them to have to go through and then it's like, oh my God, I cannot be everything for everyone. Mm-hmm. So when you've hit that, I think it was either The Go Giver or Give and Take. There were 2 books I read about giving. And it resonated. Like, all people on my team are givers, and we will give until we drop. But there has to be a balance. You have to find your limit. And for some of us, that finding that limit is like a soul-searching process. So knowing who your team is, right? And like how much you can rely on them, but also how much they're giving, and balancing all of that with like the firm giving to clients. It is a difficult thing. And one of our mantras is just because it's a client emergency does not mean it's emergency for us. We also do family law. Say no more, right? Like, if it's an emergency, we will be there. We will help protect your kids. Absolutely. If you're freaking fighting over a garage door opener, I do not care. So is it an emergency? Is it a true emergency? Is there safety at risk? We will give and give and give in that situation to make everything right. But other than that, very few client emergencies are.
Yeah, technology kind of does that sometimes. It kind of makes sure, if it comes into your, I know in Slack for me, or text, I got to answer right away, especially if it's someone more senior, in our business or something. I always have to. Sure.
One of the things that's great about technology too, and when I am the senior one, I will schedule my messages. I'm 2 hours ahead of my team right now, right? I sent a message to my associate. I knew she was covering a major hearing for me yesterday. And I said, I know it's early there. Please do not respond. I'm dying to hear how the hearing went. And right before this, she's like, I can talk now. And I'm like, I can't. We'll touch base later. But acknowledging, hey, I don't expect you to respond to me at 5:30 in the morning. I do not expect you to respond to me at 8 o'clock at night. I preach this on a weekly basis. So our team meetings, we give props to each other for jobs well done. Some of it is also living our core values, which is you take time off and you disconnect. So the expectation is you're out on vacation. We'll give props to each other for taking actual vacation, but we will also call each other out. Like, who is working on Slack at 10 o'clock at night?
Yes.
Stop it.
I do that too.
Stop it.
I start to see people who I've been seeing you late at night, but then, I've had team members like, but that means you're online.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, it's
This
my modeling. You speak a lot about burnout. I know about like in the legal profession. What are the early warning signs? I think that's important. Like, should lawyers watch out for like
Yeah.
the burnout? We use that. We hear that term a lot too. Burnout. Are there, any advice here? Any things that lawyers here should watch out for, and how they can mitigate it?
I think it's not if you're going to experience burnout in this profession, it is when. We're all going to hit that at some point. Some of it is that like burnout does not show up overnight. It's a gradual process. It's not often really dramatic, like blow it up. I'm moving to Europe. Forget it. Right. It's more subtle, especially for those of us who've been in the practice for a long time. It's, chronic irritability. I snap at my husband when I'm overwhelmed. And he's like, have you taken a break? You might need to take a break. And sometimes it's a 15-minute break. Sometimes it's like, hey, we are not working at all this weekend, and we're going to take a 3-day weekend. Procrastination, even on easy tasks. Do you ever feel like you just have like that mental block? I cannot even start this task. Sometimes that's a burnout sign. Forgetting details that you normally nail. I experienced what I thought was like a ADHD, and I went to a therapist, and she was like, no, you have crushing anxiety, and you should maybe see a talk therapist, but also consider, prescriptions. That Sunday night dread that hits harder every week, that was for me when I was a prosecutor. That was the sure sign that I was hitting my limit of what I could do. I was pulling 16-hour days, prepping 18 trials in 1 week, and managing a team of 6 younger attorneys. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. Every Sunday, I pictured driving myself into like the other direction from work, Combating burnout is much more unique to the individual, but those are some signs that, I've seen, especially with younger attorneys too. They go and go and go. And
What do you?
trial
I'm
attorneys.
curious. Now you've been in the industry, and so when you see it in your team, or maybe it shows up with the even the prosecutor on Angry Birds or
Yeah.
whatever. But who? What do you do? Do you talk about it? Do you flag it like, hey, I'm seeing, are you doing okay?
Yeah.
I'm curious, but you,
Yeah.
yeah.
So much of the legal profession is based on appearances, and we want to be perfect, and we want our clients to think we're trusted and valued, advisors, but we're human first. And what I've found is that we need to talk about these problems. We need to talk about burnout, and we need to talk about, how we're doing and managing, because if we're not doing well, and if we're not managing ourselves, how can we be expected to manage our clients' affairs efficiently and to the best of our ability? So one of the things that we actually do a weekly check-in with our team. And at the start of every Monday morning, you get a scheduled message. You have to answer a couple questions. And I think the very first question every week that I ask my team is, how busy are you feeling? And that was John Grant and I worked together for years on Kanban for lawyers. But the capacity that people can take on more and more and more and more, that's, it's just like making widgets. It's a finite resource. We are finite resources, and we can't always take on more. And sometimes the question of how busy are you feeling, don't look at your calendar. Just take a minute. Upcoming week, how busy are you feeling? Do you think immediately only of work, only of court? No, we're thinking, I gotta get my flat tire fixed. I gotta have a freaking ortho appointment. I've got my son's orthodontic appointment, and I've got, 4 court hearings. Okay. That's like an 8 out of 10 kind of week, right? And and it may be that I just am worried about the ortho, and that's a 9 out of 10. And so if my team if my team says 8, 9, or 10 of 10, sometimes I get 15 of 10. I'm like, whoa, all hands on deck. The next question is, what does help look like? And so the rest of the team will see somebody experiencing a high level of either personal or work-related capacity issues, and we will all jump on to be like, hey, I can take this for you. I can take intakes off your calendar. Do you need help with this motion? What if I take the first draft? What if I use Clio Draft? Because most of our motions are in Clio Draft now. It's a team-based method.
It's interesting. I do something similar as well with my leadership team in Slack. So everybody knows that on Monday morning, you do a red, green, or
Yeah.
red, green, yellow. And so, because we also want to, we want to respect folks' boundaries as well. And it's just to check in, like, how are you doing, red, green, or yellow, to know, can we help? But also, like, if someone's a red, just to treat them with some kindness and some, like,
Are you okay?
yeah, because sometimes it's like, it's not actually has to do with work. Because the whole work-life balance, I don't believe in any of that. It's just like either focusing on work or personal. You just have to sometimes choose. But, experiences coming out of your personal life could seep into your work and vice versa. And so a lot of times, like I have a really high performer on my team and he's always like, I'm green, I'm green, I'm green, and everything's good. And then one day he's like, for, I don't know, 2 years. And then one day he's like, I'm a yellow, which is probably he's a red, how I understand him to be. And so then I reached out to him directly. How are you doing? He's like, I'm not doing well in my, like with my partner right now. We're going through some things. I didn't sleep for the last week. And he's such a high performer, he wouldn't take any time off. And I'm like, you know what? I just think you should just take a few days off. He's like, well, Maggie, you have to do this. I'm like, you know what? No one asked, like, you can do it. And I just kind of was able, but it was a language, the red, green, yellow. And he was, cards close to his chest, like but I knew in watching him that, hey, when you're in a yellow, that's a sign for me that something was going on.
Yeah.
So something similar.
Very similar. Yeah.
Helped me.
Yeah. And sometimes we get the whole narrative, right, when we ask, but sometimes you just get a number.
Yeah.
And it's like, if that number is more than 7, I'm reaching out.
Yeah, that's really cool. What's one time myth you wish the legal profession would just let go of for good? I always curious about.
Only one.
Okay, what's that?
I think I have 2. The billable hour is the best. I hate the billable hour. Death to the billable hour. That is all. But then also the second part of that is that on a personal note, the myth that being busy always equals being successful. So busy does not always mean productive. And should I feel guilty that I was able to get my work done quickly? Well, if it's a billable hour, maybe, because I've lived in a billable hour world, right? And I don't make the firm any money. Turns out I am not very good at that, but I'm very, very good at getting things done quickly under a flat fee basis. So, woo, yay me. And if I have extra time, I get to choose how to spend that extra time. If we are light, we usually have a couple lighter months at the end of the year. We plan for that. We budget for that. Middle of the day, you might find me on the couch with a book, rejuvenating myself with a library book. And my team can reach me or whatever, but it's the middle of the day. And how many of you, show of hands, would feel guilty for taking an hour and reading a book on your couch in the middle of the day? Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Why? You don't have to. So checking that mentality, if that's what you need to like rejuvenate and replenish and get your dopamine and norepinephrine levels regulated, you should do that. You will be a much better employee, a much better lawyer, and honestly, a much better person if you find a way to balance all that.
Yeah, I don't know about, and folks it reminds me, I on the weekend, I had this moment a few years ago. I remember our friends were visiting and we're staying in our house. And then it was like a Sunday morning. And I go, okay, what's the plan today?
Plan for today, yeah.
We're going to do ABC. And they're like, we're just going to sit here and have some coffee. I'm like, we're just going to sit here? Or we have to do all these things? Like, I think just from go, and just having those cortisol levels going, sometimes it's, you have to be so intentional just to slow down.
Yeah.
To do those things. So one more question, and then if any of you folks have any questions for us, would want to make sure there's time and space. If you could go back and give your younger lawyer self one piece of advice about managing your time, what would that be?
I think it would have been invaluable when I was a baby lawyer to have somebody tell me, that I shouldn't be ashamed if I wasn't at my desk from 7 to 6 or from 8, even 8 to 5, right? If I'm not sitting behind my desk, I must not be working. That's totally not necessarily true. I shouldn't have had to hide that I needed that book time, that I needed that horse time. I should have been much more vocal about, hey, actually, if you want me to do my best work, I need to go to the coffee shop for a hot minute. But I think I earned the opposite lesson from my early jobs. Even one of my own associates over the years was like, I don't like the optics of you riding your horse in the middle of the day when I'm in court. And I'm like, okay, so optics has now become a bad word at my firm because I really don't care about the optics. I will do so much more work afterwards. So somebody just to tell me it's okay to be me during business hours and not to be in this box behind a computer at your desk every day. I refused to hide anymore, and I had to do decades of work to like unlearn those things. So yeah, lawyering does not have to come first. It really shouldn't. You should be, a human first, and your identity shouldn't just be your profession.
So good. Well, if anybody, we want to give some time, if anybody has any questions for us, would
We
like
do have the mic.
go in the mic. There's,
We are recording, so
yeah.
My name is George Miller. I'm an attorney out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Well, I'll share one insight, I guess, in response to the no question before I ask my question. But I heard this years ago. It's called the tomorrow rule. And if someone asks you to do something, usually something that's months away or potentially weeks away or even days away, ask yourself, if they were asking me to do it tomorrow, would I want to do it?
yeah.
Oh, wow. That's great.
And that has helped me say no more than I can possibly imagine, because going to conferences or whatever, speaking, CLEs, it's 2 months away. And then I find myself doing all the prep work 2 days before anyway. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to do this. And, so if it was tomorrow, would you still do it?
I think the other part that goes with that is also, if it's not an immediate yes, it's a no.
Yeah. It kind of goes to your point about, does it spark joy? Am I that interested in it that I would love to do that, immediately do the work? Anyway, one thing I've struggled with, and it's almost a pseudo-ethics question. You have clients who want to devour your time. And, and older school, attorneys, they're very blunt. You're not my only client. There's only so many hours in the day. But in our profession, that doesn't seem to be an excuse, and you're up in front of the D board, like, well, whatever, you took the client, I guess my question is, how do you prepare your clients or potential clients for the idea that you're not always going to be available, and perhaps that even makes you a better lawyer for them? Thanks.
It's about boundaries. I know there was another presentation, I think yesterday, about boundaries. It's how you set your boundary. And sometimes it might help to script that during your intake. If you're doing your intakes, we do a number of touch points in the first couple of days of opening a new file, right? I tell people in the intakes, like, hey, you're going to get my calendaring link. I'm not available for you to pick up the phone. I'm in court. Sorry. And they're like, oh, all right, yeah, I guess you can't answer my phone call in front of the judge. I'm like, yeah, that's part of it. The other part is, I don't want to talk to you all the time. So setting that boundary up front, making a joke about it. Obviously, I have a little bit of a sense of humor. So I tend to make jokes about it. And I'm like, you don't want me to answer your legal question at 2 a.m. You really don't. Like, that's a horrible way. You wouldn't expect a doctor, well, emergency room doctor, but they go like 30 hours without sleep, and that's not good either. But you would not want me to do this on the fly. So book a call, do that. And then we send a welcome packet as well. So people learn differently. And I have found my clients are all over in terms of how they learn. Some people will remember what I tell them on a verbal phone call. Other people need to see it in writing. So we actually have a communications policy in our engagement agreement as well. This is our expectation. This is what we recommend for you. And if they can't follow that, we have also text expanders where we will send them another message that says, especially on our hourly cases, on some of our family law things, like, hey, we get it. This is really, really rough, and we are therapists, kind of. But honestly, wouldn't you rather go to your therapist for, mental health recommendations? A, they're cheaper than I am, but also B, you're not paying me to be your therapist. And some clients will come back and say, what am I paying you for? And I'm like, well, if you would like to pay me to be your therapist at a much higher rate than your therapy appointments, I will take your money. You can pay me a bigger retainer. And then they either do it, and I'm like, okay, fine, you can talk to me. Or they don't, and most of the time they don't. So tell them early, tell them often, tell them in multiple ways, and put it in your contracts. Yeah. Oh, we've got more. I love it.
Hi, I just have a real quick question. Do you find that it seems like you've taken this cultural shift to allow me time within your firm?
Yep.
Do you find there's any resentment of like so-and-so took more me time, or I can't get an answer because somebody's, do you see any of that animosity in your own team?
I have over the years, right? That's why optics is a bad word. I hire now for fit more than I do for hard legal skills. So if you can be a giver and really appreciate that people are going to do what they want to do, you'll fit in with our firm, right? Like, so we hire for that culture component. But we also make it very clear, like, my team has unlimited PTO. If you're an employee, you get unlimited PTO. I
We have
can't
that at Clio too.
Yeah, and I can't get people to take it. They work on vacation, and I'm like, stop it. I have never had anybody actually abuse that. And so we all go through those periods where it's like, some days I'm going to be really productive. I have an 8-day freaking like homicide trial coming up in February. I'm going to be completely unavailable for my team. They know I'm still working because they give me the benefit of the doubt, right? But they're not going to see me online. So if you're like in the micromanaging kind of stuff, but if they're comparing themselves to other people, honestly, that may not be a good culture fit for my firm. So we hire slow and fire fast.
Good answer. Thank you.
Yeah. You have unlimited PTO at Clio too?
Yes, we do.
I never close my firm. I'm coming to Vancouver.
Yeah, we do that. And so usually what I do is when people are sprinting hard on a project,
Yeah.
just saying, and for some of the high performers, you need to take some time off. And I try to model it too as a leader where I'm like, I had this really great advice from one of my last CEOs at my last company said, Maggie, if you're in a valley, be okay in the valley. Because sometimes, again, in the valley, I'm like, okay, when's my next thing? I got to do this. I got to do that. It's, my workload's lighting up, and be okay in the valley because the mountain is coming. And so I try to, when you're in the valley and you have that bit of your breathing, that's when you take the kids out, for a 3-day weekend. That's when I do things like because I know the next week could just be crazy.
Take advantage of the time that you can. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Tony. I'm with a virtual firm as well. You mentioned you are an inbox zero kind of person. Do you use tech for that? I tried Superhuman once.
Yeah.
I don't know why I got away from it, but I'm wondering what you use.
I use Superhuman.
Okay, you do.
Yeah. I love I had a partner go out on maternity leave. I was handling 110 criminal defense cases, everything from DUIs to sex assaults. And I was handling it for her while she was on maternity leave. I also have a second company. And I have my own. I have my personal. So I had 4 email accounts at one time when Superhuman rolled out and was like by invite only. And that triage my inbox, I'm like, hell yes. So I am a big fan of Superhuman. Gmail's getting there. I don't talk to me about Outlook. Sorry.
Hi. You mentioned that you typically on Fridays take the time to set yourself up for the next week, what conferences you have or court appearances. We're a transactional firm, and do a lot of fractional GC work. So our upcoming week we don't often know what that looks like. So what are your recommendations for someone like us trying to prep for the week?
Sure. Yeah. I'm a big fan of goal setting, and a lot of times it's not, unique to any particular practice area. But I'll set like a personal goal that I want to achieve over a year-long process, right? It's easier with numbers, but I'll work backwards from whatever goal I set for a number of purposes. Say I want to make $1 million top line revenue, right? Okay, what do I have to make every quarter? What do I have to make every month? What do I have to do every week? How many leads do I need today, right? So it's called, I think, goal setting to the now. That's also a one thing reference. Whether it's a personal goal, a professional goal, one of the ones was I wanted to connect with my husband more because I do all the things for all the people and I ignore him and I'm always the irritable one to him. So I was like, I want to do 12 date nights with my husband. No childcare, once a month. I just have time with my husband. And I schedule those on my calendar. So finding that mix of what you want to achieve, whether it's working on this particular file, getting this task done, what's the number one thing that's going to move the needle forward the most? I think it's the Pareto principle, where like 20% of the 20% of the work moves the needle the most. The other 80% is just kind of fluff and they're busy work tasks. Focus on the 20% that has the biggest impact to get what you need accomplished, and that use that religiously. So I'll push tasks 2-3 weeks if it's not going to move the needle today for me or my team. They'll be on the list. They'll be continuing. And I like a nice dopamine checkbox when everything gets done. But I focus on those 20% tasks that make the biggest impact. So that's kind of how I handle it. Yeah.
It's great.
Hi, I'm Dave, small family law firm in Braintree, Massachusetts. We've been using Clio Manage for 7 years, looking to add Clio Grow. But this may be blasphemy at a Clio conference. You're using Lawmatics instead of Clio Grow.
Yep.
You talk about why you do that and what the advantages are and that you found.
I mean, I outgrew Clio Grow. There were a couple of things that I really wanted to customize. And Clio does have their operating system where there are things, that you can use as triggers for automations. And the automations are built in. And I'm like, I want to send more than 3 text messages to follow up on a case. I want to schedule it at different times for my family law cases and my criminal cases. I want different pipelines because I want the client experience to be that curated for the type of practice area. And so I enjoyed the automations more with Lawmatics. Frankly, I think both do a good job and would be fine. Especially, I was playing with Clio Grow AI downstairs, and I was like, "Oh, this is good. This is enticing." But I'm also of the opinion that if I can send a engagement letter with literally 3 clicks in Lawmatics and it takes me 10 in Clio Grow, I'm gonna go with Lawmatics. So it is brutal.
Hi, my name's Scott from Canada. Great to be here. Thank you both. There was a question asked earlier about clients, because we're talking a lot about automation with Clio, some incredible stuff happening. I'm curious on this thought. I was listening to a podcast recently through Dyer, the CEO. I'm trying to remember who it was exactly, and they talked about how you could be a great client. And I've implemented this in my life, and I go to a contractor at the house or something, I'll say, hey, tell me how I can be a great client to you. Because we all know that this profession would be awesome if it wasn't for the clients.
Yeah, some of them for sure.
Yeah. So how do you think we could potentially prep our clients to be better clients so that they can work within the flows and the processes that you've put in place. And of course, implementing these incredible AI tools that Clio is rolling out.
It's a great question. That is a good question. Well, this is like an existential answer. I think transparency is number one, right? If you're talking to a client and you're like, hey, listen, this isn't working for me. You know, like maybe I'm not a good fit for you, but this is not working for me. This is how our system is set up. You can, work within that system and this can go a lot easier or not, right? And especially with criminal clients, I'm like, good luck finding another attorney to do this better. But at the same time, like, just tell them. Don't hide the ball, right? Like if it's calendaring, you want to use the calendaring link. If it's phone calls, they want your direct line. No, the answer is always no. Never give your cell phone to a criminal. So, just the answer is no is a complete sentence is there, but also be transparent. Like these are the systems that we use. If I find a client who is a really great client, I will tell that person, you are my ideal client. And I will do, like, I think I did this for Clio a couple years ago. I presented on red light and green light clients. There's always the yellow in the middle where you just, I don't know which way they're gonna go. But I have red flags with clients where I'm just like, I will not take your case. So I filter the crazy out as much as I can, which I do get the fair number of tinfoil clients. So try to find those red flags early. And when your team is telling you there's red flags, you take it serious.
And what I'm hearing from you is don't just accept it.
Yeah, don't take their abuse.
It, or if they want to need your direct line or go into a different workflow, you can still assert like, hey, this is how we're set up, and don't.
And I got a lot of clients who want to meet in person too, and I'm just like, it's a safety issue. Like, no. So I get called a basement attorney. I'm like, whatever. I'm cool with that. but yeah, I mean, clients want to do X, Y, or Z. If there's a reason, why not? Just tell them what the reason is.
Yeah. All right. Maybe one more quick question.
I think we're out. Are we out? I think we're done.
We're done. Yeah.
We're 3 minutes over.
Okay.
All right, guys.
Thank you.